So we plan and we plan and we plan, but what happens when we don't know what we don't know? Hello, model railroaders and rail fans. Welcome to episode 8 of Getting Back on Track with Steve. Now, last week, we completed all the work on our swing bridge and we're all excited. We're going to move forward in big leaps and it's getting close to the end. However, as I started cutting the foam, I noticed there was a little bit of a problem with my swing bridge. So one of the things I noted happening was as I set the foam in here to minimize the gap on the open end, when I would open it, the foam would catch on itself and drag across the plywood. So it wasn't quite fitting quite right and the bridge wasn't working. So I also noted because of that, when I put track on there, we're going to have problems with the track as well. So being a beginner and such a complex issue as a swing bridge, it's not surprising that we make mistakes, and hopefully we can learn from those things. So what I did find out and figure out was the problem is with using an angle on the free end of the board here on the swing bridge. From the pivot point, as you open it, it allows the outboard end of it to swing outward as it comes around. And because of that, if you lay your track on there with a minimum gap on that, as you go to open it, as it swings out, the track is going to foul on it on the other rails. So it'll catch and won't open cleanly, and you'll end up messing up your track. So how do I fix this? I wasn't sure what to do. But I'll tell you that what is important here is community, model railroading community. There's so much information out there, and while YouTube's a great source of information, there's a lot of misinformation as well. And I had so many conflicting opinions. Another area I started looking at is Facebook. There are tons and tons of Facebook groups just for model railroad. And what I found is there's some guys out there that are just full of information and freely share that with you. And what I found out was by using the angle like I was, I'm causing the problem, but a good solution to this can be creating a arc based off of your pivot point. So that's what we ended up doing with this bridge. So why don't you come here and I'll show you exactly all the modifications we made to make this whole thing work out correctly. The problem with the swing bridge is it has a 58-degree angle on the outboard end. So in order to make these changes, we have to replace this whole board here. So we'll remove the old board, we'll place a new board that'll stick out this much further here, and we also got to cut the board on this side, on the bench work. So first we start by using our trammel to cut our line and cut off the part on the bench work. We cut a new board to fit back up underneath, and it extends out further, and then we use our trammel again to mark another line. Then we'll use our jigsaw to cut the arc in. First thing we need to talk about is the angle that we got to put in here. So we need to cut this arc in. So how do we go about doing that? The way to go about doing that is using a trammel, which is a basic tool. It just has a focal point. This is the fulcrum. And then you have another spot that's going to be where your pencil goes to. And you're going to put the fulcrum in. You're going to have that be right on where your pivot point is at your hinge pin. And from there, as you make your arc, you'll swing it around and you'll mark your line coming around using the trammel. Now, as we can see here, with the new board in place, we have an overhang that's going to overhang over onto our bench work. So we'll need to think about supporting structure for this. So how are we going to do that? The other thing we had to look at was we would need to make sure that we still had our good clearance as we came around, and you can note that we have the same clearance all the way around. So you can see how the arc doesn't travel outward and create more problems for clearance. So now we got good clearance with our Peninsula, and we have a good fit up for our track. Well, the solution that I've come up with is we've added further 2x4s on edge underneath right here. So that way, as we close the panel, we're right up on top of that. That coupled with the 1x4 we got underneath to support the substructure, that should hold everything in place. Now with our decking removed, we can better see the changes we made for our support structure. Here we've got the 2x4 on edge, and we had to put another 2x4 across here as supporting structure. So now all the baseboard and everything is all supported really well. So you can see here underneath, we had to remove the connections for the wiring, so we had to reroute the wiring so it could come through the board on this side, and brought the outside track power over. We also have our wiring here for our accessories, and then for our inner loop, the other wires. So we'll have to reattach these. So I'm going to reattach them on the other side here. We'll put the terminal blocks in place over here. Now with all our boards cut, our plywood back in place on the swing bridge, now we can see that as we close it, we're right up on top here, and everything lines up perfectly. The other addition we made is we added a latch to the front of it to enable us to shut it and hold it tight in place. So now our swing bridge won't move at all during operations, and that way the track will stay lined up. With the arc, we can see there is no outboard movement on opening and closing the swing bridge. Also, with our track positioned temporarily, there is no interference during the swing bridge movement. So there you go. Once again, I am a beginning model railroader. This is my very first layout, and I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to always be honest with you about the mistakes I make and the ways I find to fix them and how I go about that. So, I hope that you found this to be something that is educational for you, something that might help you with a problem, and we'll just keep moving forward on this. Next week I'll go ahead and start working on getting the backdrops in place and get the foam done, and then we can start laying some track. So we're getting there, closer and closer. So remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and come on back and join me again on Getting Back on Track with Steve. Bye guys.